The race no one sees, Sapa town, nestled quietly at the foot of a lush green hill range. There weren't many city lights here, but there were people silently creating their own stories. Among them were two friends, Moose and Davik. Moose had always stood out since childhood. He had a charismatic voice, a way of storytelling that drew attention, and an energy filled with confidence. During university, Moose joined the student MCing club, led various events, and was invited to speak at small seminars. People's eyes often turned toward him. He was used to being seen, heard, and applauded. Davik, on the other hand, was more reserved. He rarely spoke in class, often retreating into his inner world, reading, observing, and doing manual work. While friends were out partying, Davik stayed in his room writing journals or hand-carving small wooden decorations. He didn't want to be in the spotlight. He just wanted to live genuinely. After graduation, Mus decided to work in the city in the media industry, a place where he could shine, appear, speak, and be heard. He was ambitious, aiming to rise high, become well-known, and influential. Davik chose to return to the countryside, living simply, opening a small workshop in woodcraft, making furniture, decorations, each piece carrying the breath of soul and patience. At first, people didn't understand what he was doing. To them, woodcraft seemed far behind administrative work, marketing, or digital jobs. But Mus had a big stage, social media, events, and conferences. He regularly posted photos, city lights at night, meeting with a CEO, creative seminar, photo shoot in a vest under flashing lights. Likes, shares, comments. People assumed Moose was on a powerful upward journey. And Davik? Few knew what he did each day. He rarely posted. Each morning he'd enter his workshop, grab a hammer, carve wood, inspect every joint, review minor flaws at night, sketch new designs, read technical manuals, learn to mix colors, find new materials. He advanced slowly, in silence, with patience. Whenever others applauded Moose, Davik simply smiled quietly. Inside the invisible race, Moose felt like he was running a race. Every morning the alarm rang. He'd jump out of bed, dress in a crisp shirt, check emails, prepare presentations. He attended meetings, reported KPIs, adjusted slides, proposed marketing strategies, led team discussions, closed budgets. He always had to perform. Not just do well but also look good, be outstanding. Every campaign had to be measured in data, interaction rates, user growth. Every word spoken had to align with company branding, trends, and social expectations. Some nights, Mus stayed up late perfecting slides with extra animations, so his Instagram stories looked presentable. People around him saw Moose as successful, judging him by polished photos, confident speeches, degrees, and events he attended. But few knew the cost behind it all. One afternoon, after a long meeting, Moose sat alone in the empty office, gazing through the glass window. The city glowed with sparkling lights. Yet deep inside, he felt a void like an abyss. Each success felt hollow. He asked himself, "What am I running for? Am I enjoying this or just exhausted trying to maintain an image?" Meanwhile, Davik, back in his humble workshop, didn't worry about being seen, didn't live under anyone's expectations. Each day, he made a little progress, fixed a little, improved a little. He worked to create real things, wooden photo frames, small jewelry boxes, intricately carved pieces. Not for show, but for people to use and remember. He built relationships with small customers, those who appreciated handmade goods, soulful items, and wanted more than just beauty. They wanted a story. His work spread through word of mouth. He didn't have a spotlight, but he had solid ground. When the storm hits, things seemed to go well for Moose. But even the city of dazzling lights has days of heavy storms, lightning, and thunder. Moose's company began to restructure, slashing budgets, reorganizing departments. They reviewed numbers. Those with real performance stayed, those merely prominent online Those behind beautiful photos were reassessed. Moose felt the pressure. He had to deliver real results, not just aesthetic reports. One day, he received an internal email. Departments not meeting targets for 3 consecutive quarters will be merged or dissolved. Employees with low effectiveness will be reassigned or released. Moose trembled. All the photos, connections, and followers meant little now. What he lacked were real results. Completed projects, clear data, teams that worked directly with real customers. He lost sleep, opened his laptop at 2 a.m. to revise proposals. He worked until 4 a.m. fine-tuning partnership pitches, slept a few hours and started again. He began to realize the outer lights couldn't save him if the backstage wasn't solid. Meanwhile, Davik's workshop also faced challenges. Wood prices rose, materials became scarce, shipping costs increased. But Davik stayed calm. He quietly sourced new materials, sought new clients, personally handled deliveries if needed. He paused advertising, focused on quality, ensured orders were delivered as promised. He knew if one customer was disappointed, his reputation could fall. He worked piece by piece, not for show, but for trust. One day, Davik sent Moose a photo. Just finished. A small shelf, raw wood grain, smoothly sanded edges. No caption, no flair. Just a quiet, beautiful product. Moose stared at the photo and his chest ached.
When the lights go out. A week later, Moose was reassigned without notice. He was promoted to a remote office but with impossible KPIs. He lost autonomy. Projects he once loved were cut or diluted. His decisions now had to pass through layers, all to fit the new alignment strategy. Moose began to feel suffocated. He couldn't rise. Every movement was pulled back. He felt like he was trapped in a performance cage, playing a role to please others, not living for himself. One night, Moose finished his presentation for the next day. He looked at his reflection. Tired eyes, wrinkled forehead, pursed lips. He turned off his phone. No posts, no replies, just silence. The next morning, Moose didn't go to the office. He packed his laptop and notebook and went to Davik's workshop in the countryside. Reunion and conversation. Davik's woodshop sat quietly beneath the trees. The doors were wide open, morning sunbeams shining on scattered sawdust, the scent of wood soft in the air. Davik was smoothing the edge of a frame. He looked up as Moose walked in, like stepping from darkness into calm. Moose paused, then said, "I no longer know who I'm running for." Davik set his tools down and smiled. "You know, I've never seen your race because I never wanted to run after anyone. I just walked toward what I wanted to build." Moose sighed. "Bright lights, being seen, people notice. You're quiet, invisible, people ignore. But now, I want to learn how to be like you, to turn off the lights and still live." Davik responded gently. "Lights can go out, audiences may leave, but the path I walk is mine. Not for them, but for me. Who do you want to live like?" Moose said, "I'm tired, I don't want to perform anymore, I want to shine from the inside." Davik nodded. "Good. But that path isn't smooth. You'll have to take it step by step without rushing or comparing." A new beginning. Moose stayed at the workshop for a few weeks. No air conditioning, no loud music, just hammers, saws, and sawdust on the floor. At first, he was clumsy, lacking technique. He miscut, oversanded, mismatched pieces. He wanted to quit, to go back to job boards. But Davik didn't give up on him. He guided Moose step by step, picking the right wood, sanding smooth, aligning edges, coating properly. Davik never said, "Do it my way." He inspired Moose. Find your own way between knowledge and instinct. Moose started crafting little touches with his own identity, engraving names, etching small designs, combining steel, choosing soft color palettes. He made a bookshelf for himself, not for sale. But when he placed it by the window, sunlight hitting it just right, he smiled. He posted a photo, not to stand out but to share the story. From uneven cuts to crooked edges, the cost of truth being carved day by day. Small engagement, slow comments, but every word felt real. One day, someone messaged, "That's beautiful, are you selling this?" Mus looked at Davik. Davik gave a slight nod. "Try your first order." And so Moose began selling his very first bookshelf. No fanfare, no big ads, just friends and small customers knocking on the door, asking quietly. Small orders, real feedback, returning customers. He learned how to ship, care for clients, handle small warranties. He didn't chase volume, just kept the quality. Reflection and realization. A year later, Moose had built a small brand alongside Davik. He wasn't racing anyone. Each day was a step of self-growth. Moose looked back at old photos, the conferences, the vests, the proud poses. He realized they were just a shell, pretty on the outside, but fragile if empty. Davik now had a few employees, still personally managing the details, still listening to customers, still putting heart into each piece. He didn't want rapid growth at the cost of quality. Mus thanked Davik. "You gave me a quiet, honest path. You showed me lights aren't the goal. The path is." Davik replied, "Dreams aren't for others to see. They're for you to feel. When you work for yourself, every flaw and scratch becomes a lesson, and no one can steal that light from you." To those chasing the lights. Moose and Davik sat by a small wooden table, candlelight flickering, wind rustling through the open window. They didn't need a stage. They didn't need an audience. They just needed to work for themselves, day by day. If you, the one reading, are also chasing the lights, the likes, the image, maybe step back. Listen to what calls from within. Ask yourself, what do I want to live for? Lights can fade, stages can shift, but the path you build when it's truly yours will take you further than any spotlight ever could. You've just experienced the story, the race no one sees. Between the lights others shine on you, and the path you light from within. If you saw yourself in this story, if you've ever felt exhausted trying to keep up appearances, if you're searching for your own path, if you want more stories that are heartfelt and inspiring, then don't forget to like, share this video, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next story. Every like and subscription from you is a huge motivation for me to continue telling real stories for real people like you. Thank you for following until the end. See you in the next story. When the lights go out. A week later, Moose